Happy and healthy citizens with a feeling of belonging to the community. That is the vision we have. And the way we want to help realize this vision is through sport and physical activity. Sport activity and physical activity directly organized by the cities themselves, or through the support cities provide to a variety of local actors, which offer sport and physical activity. And our objective is to enhance the opportunities for cities to learn from each other on sport and physical activity, so that cities can strengthen themselves in the offer to their citizens on sport and physical activity. So we are not a membership association, we are not a think tank, we are not a research institution, we are not a lobby agency, we are a facilitator for cities to learn from each other on sport and movement. The EU is a patchwork of differences, also on sport and physical activity at the local level, with an uncountable number of particularities. And those are particularities depending on how large a city is, depending on the format in which sport is organized at a national or regional level in which the city is situated, depending on the gross national product of the country, the resources the city has, very varied along the culture and the tradition of the city, with even many differences within the city, depending from one neighborhood to another neighborhood, and depending from the different typologies of the groups of the citizens, the school children, seniors, etc. However, there are also some mainstream findings on the challenges cities face today. And I am not talking COVID-19 now, challenges on how to get the citizens to be active like before and after and outside COVID-19. And one mainstream finding is that there currently is kind of a disconnection between health and sport. It seems that we have long thought as cities that by creating opportunities for citizens to be active in sports arenas, outdoor or indoor, for which as cities, we pay a lot of money, that people would be triggered to do sport. But yet the Eurobarometer tells us that no more than 12% of the EU citizens are actually active in a sports club. And 14% of the citizens is active in a fitness center, which is 2% more than in a sports club. Sports club in which citizens invest a lot of money. And 40% of the EU citizens seem to be active outside the sport or fitness club, which is more than triple the sports club activity. But sports clubs most definitely are extremely important because they provide values to our citizens which cannot be fulfilled by fitness centers or by non-membership, rather individual sport participation. But sports clubs apparently today are not attractive enough. And what we see over the past years is actually two things. First of all, many cities changed their policy from a sport club and sport infrastructure orientated policy to kind of a much wider offer to the citizens to be active. Hereby sometimes struggling to provide sport a new position in the city policy. It is, should sport really remain a separate policy domain, or should it resort under health and well-being, or must it resort actually directly under the mayor, because it goes through very many domains: mobility, parks, clubs, schools, well-being, health, social cohesion, etc. That is the first finding. And the second finding is that many cities kind of express their desire that sports clubs would make a next step. It is break out of the bubble of the specific sport infrastructure in which they operate to also provide opportunities outside their proper infrastructures. And also that sports clubs move on to a much more citizen health enhancing culture and a less competition orientated culture. Actually, in February last month, we held 14 online sessions with the representatives on sport and movement of the national associations of cities from all 27 EU member states. And the just mentioned challenges is like a mainstream finding coming forward in most, not all, but most of the EU member states. In each single EU member state, over 80% of the costs for the sports infrastructures is paid by the local authorities. So that is with tax money from the local citizens paid to the city. And what we see since a few years is that many cities invest much more in opportunities for the citizens to be active in their daily behavior. Cycling roads being just, only one of the many solutions. 2, they invest more in creating opportunities for the citizens to be active in the neighborhood. It's facilities in parks, it's children playgrounds, it's basic fitness instruments in the public areas, skate parks. And now recently there's obstacle runs for the ones between 10 and 15 years old in areas in the city or just outside the area, or multi-move areas for kids between 3 years and 10 years old. The third thing is that we see much more promotion campaigns from the local authorities via all sorts of media, new media or old media, for citizens be active outdoor and for the integration of opportunities for physical activity in the entire city development. It's kind of an illusion from, look, we are proud, we are a city with, we offer sport opportunities and we have great sport events, to rather, we are an active city, we are a vital city, more holistically. There's hundreds of examples, but there's just 2 remarkable ones which I will pick up from the meetings we had in February. A city with very little open space because it was designed for car traffic. Actually, it's the capital of an EU member state. They abandon cycling lanes. So cyclists lose cycling lanes. And the city turns the preliminary cycling lanes into running and distance walking paths, which are other paths than the footpaths, because footpaths are, for destiny walkers. You walk to your work or you go shopping. The running and walking lanes are for distance runners and walkers. And the difference is that as a citizen, you step out of your door in the city and you can start running or walking a reasonable distance right from your front door. You don't have to go to a sports center or an open park like 5 kilometers further. And what about the cyclists, you will say, which lose their cycling lanes? They have to ride on the road, but the cars need to stay behind them. The cars are not allowed to overtake the cyclists. Well, this is an absolute example of creating an active city, a vital city. It's an example, a pilot example, I know, on the fundamental change in policy on sport and movement which a city can take. Another example is that some cities get on the market to buy corporate buildings, sometimes 15 floors high buildings in the middle of the city. We all work from home these times, telework, and companies realize they will not need so much working space anymore. We will go back to the office, but probably not so much as before. So cities are now on the market to buy buildings and turn this into activity centers, sort of fitness centers, but much larger and with a much broader offer, whereby cities rent out or can rent out these floors to a variety of sports associations, or even like 5 neighbors who want to practice in a rather small room, Zumba, yoga, or whatever. So that is including space for traditional sports and a wide variety of other activity opportunities. Not really. As I said, we very recently held 14 meetings with representatives on sport and movement of the National Associations of Citizen Municipalities of the 27 EU member states. And most of them have stated that the pandemic has not and will probably not lead to kind of major innovations on themselves. But still, I would like to give 2 remarks on the pandemic and innovation. And the first remark is that many of these pre-mentioned representatives on sport and movement of the cities and municipalities from the EU member states consider that the innovations which already started before the pandemic will be accelerated due to the pandemic. And the second remark these representatives gave is that several national studies on sport application by citizens during the pandemic have demonstrated a decline in activity by the sport club members. So sport club members have done less physical activity, but there is a rise in activity of citizens who were not active, little active, or who were non-club member sport practitioners. And the representatives told us that currently is being researched what is the reason why sport club members did less sport and non-sport club members did more sport. And they think that maybe on the analysis of this finding, there might be post-pandemic innovations which might pop up. By helping sport clubs to put health enhancement up front, it is that sports clubs realize that they have a culture and that they act in a way whereby the sports discipline they offer is actually secondary to health enhancement. And when I say health enhancement, I mean physical health enhancement, mental health enhancement, and also social health enhancement. And, you know, by the way, if you read the essay from Pierre de Coubertin, I'm talking now 140 years ago, you will read that the major reason why he was determined to revive the Olympic Games was that he, as a Frenchman, found that the health of the French youngsters was less strong than from the English and the German fellows. Now, sports clubs that focus on training and competition seem to only appeal a little number of citizens. But sports clubs which are focused on, you know, have fun with friends, the social contact, just enjoy being physically active, and that can be in competition, but also recreationally, these clubs have the highest chances to be supported by the citizens and the local authorities. And yeah, don't forget, I repeat myself, in every EU member state, the financing of sport is for at least 80% by the cities and municipalities through taxes which the citizens have paid.